And this is still full. I'm getting it from one work wife and then I'm getting it from the other. Anyways, hello. Where's the goddamn... It should not be down there. I'm moving that up 5 layers. There we go. Still has that weird intro lag. Yep, still has weird intro lag. There we go. Anyways. No, what's on the docket is what's in the title. I wish it was war crimes. It'd be more interesting news. Anyways. How's everyone doing today? The Concord one you happened to post at the same time I did. A couple of these I ended up coming across either 1 hour or 2 minutes before you did. So I just saw that it was there and just deleted them. Ooh. Eternally tired. Park place up. Just had the thread up and then I closed the thread right before I tried to fight Voltadia. That's my fault. Anyways. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We have seen something that has never been done before. Well, actually, no, that's been done before, but it's never been done in such a way like this. NetherRealm Studios, famed for being the ones responsible for creating the never-ending cope and cringe that was the ESRB, have decided to go one step further. They were not content with just trying to whitewash and blackwash their history. They were not content in just destroying their own efficacy of work. They were not content with just destroying goodwill and faith amongst their players. They decided to go... And they decided to go one step further in a way that has truthfully never been seen before. They decided to create an ESRB. To destroy their own game. And in the proceedings of destroying their own game, they are pretending that it is not their fault, and that on top of not being their fault, that they would gaslight, and the majority of the player base running around them or in defense currently would flame them for it. Coming directly from Twitter. a screen cap of the particular thing in question. Mortal Kombat 1. New terms of service. Screen. Boop. Bada bop. Boop. Bop. Boom. Current end user license agreement. The game license is licensed, not sold, subject to your agreement and continued compliance with the terms and conditions of this end user license agreement. WB Games hereby grants you a limited, revocable, non-exclusive, non-transferable personal license to download and install or use the game client on your computer, console, or mobile device, a system owned by you, and B, the game client in conjunction with the game server for your non-commercial entertainment purposes only. The foregoing license does not permit you to do any of the following, and you agree to the violation, and you agree that the violation of blah 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 blah. It actually reads further. Confers no ownership or title of the game, including and without limitation to the game license, the client. It should not be construed as the sales of any rights to the game. All rights, titles, and interests to the game and any and all copies therefore within including not limitation, any and all titles, computer code, technology, themes, objects, characters, character names, stories, dialogue, catchphrases, locations, concepts, artwork, music, etc. are owned by WB Games or its licensors. What does that actually mean? Well, boys and girls, what that actually means is not only do you not own the rights to your game, not only do you not own the rights to your single-player game, not only do you not own the rights to your multiplayer game, but as soon as you handed them your $70 fucking dollars, you flushed it down the goddamn toilet. That's what that means. Remember how many times I've talked about TOSs, Terms of Service, and EULA, End User License Agreement. That right there is why you do not sign your fucking name and sign the penny on a Runicon until you know what Sadate says. Did Carl just have a stroke? Nah, I watched too many old movies. You do not sign on the dotted fucking line unless you read the entire goddamn contract you are signing. They have just told you, after the game had been released, after the game's full DLC extension had been made, after all that extra shit was done, and they rebooted their universe, decided to revoke your rights to having a video game. Not just the single player game, but also the multiplayer game. Yes, I did! Yes, I did, quote Pootie sang. Because they quite literally did make you sign your video on the Runicon. Every single one of you that bought this game, and you did not sit there and say, I'm gonna wait. You absolutely signed it on a Runicon. Yes, you did. Yes, sir. And now your money's worthless. There are a bunch of people who are misreading this and then telling other people that they're misreading this document clause. I could tell you why they're wrong. This document clause here has nothing to do with playing the game on the online server. It has nothing to do with playing the game on the online server. This end user license agreement says that if they don't like you, if they don't like you modding the game in your own time, if they don't like you making anything to do with updates or catchphrases or voice acting, they don't like any additional material that you make for Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat 1 specifically. So, those of you who remember during the time of Baldur's Gate 3, which actually, I think we could actually lay this in alongside this in here with this. I'll be right back on the popsicles. So, those of you who were paying attention, and you were paying attention actively, you might remember that it was announced the official mod support for Baldur's Gate 3. And I, and a bunch of other people, called that out to you about why that was hilarious. Let me pull that up for you. Baldur's Gate 3 made an announcement about how they'd be curating the mods that are going to be going on to PC and console. Now, those of you who have been paying attention when this news story first came out, you'll know that they are extremely litigious. Wrong one. They are extremely litigious. That's just supposed to be above that. They are extremely litigious when it comes to understanding the actual follow-through for PC and console moderation. The problem with PC and console moderation when it comes through anything is that you have the person making the mod, you have the websites where they host the mods, and then you have the workshop, should it be released on Steam, where some of these mods can be contracted from. Now, this is talking about mods not be licensed through one of those, but being licensed through a type of mod creator. This specifically references something called mod.io. Those who are not aware, mod.io is a UGC tool. It's used by multiple studios: Sega, Ubisoft, Bandai Namco, Techland, Calypso, Gearbox, Focus, Coffee Stain. It is effectively an integration tool, a personalization tool, and a community launch tool. Meaning, it is both a tool and a hub. So, here you have somebody making a Corinthian Soldier helmet mod. And as you can see here, you have the ability, central only please, you have the ability to put up mods for multiple games. Here you see there are mods for multiple popular games. 107 of 68 shown. Expeditions, Battles, Warhammer 40k, Battle Sector, Homeworld, Dungeons, NO 800, Dying Light, Stay Human, Blade and Sorcery, SnowRunner, Pavlov, Deep Rock Galactic, Tabs, Contractors VR, Battle Talent, Fireworks Mania, Insurgency, Tailspin, Mordhau, Fun with Ragdars, Core Keeper, Flashing Lights, SMX Supermoto, Pistol Whip, Hell Spirit, Questmaster, The Crypt of the Necrodancer. I could go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Sure, it doesn't have all the games on here, but it has a featureable amount of them. And as you can see, let's just click through one that I think I'd be interested in. I own Crypt of the Necrodancer. You've got a Delta Necrodancer mod extension that was originally featured on Steam. You've got Undead Decor. You've got a game extension, Biodiversity Plus, Symphony of the Sorcerer music for the Symphony of the Sorcerer fan expansion. Keep that word in mind, by the way, fan expansion. You had a whole bunch of creative things being brought over from people who have made things along multiple other games. Basically, the player base making more content free for the game. Why is this important? Mod.io is effectively a community hub. And if you remember, there are certain mod websites like that of Game Banana and Game Nexus that thought it was clever, smart, and cool and funny to tell you politically, you can't make that mod, you can't publish that mod, you can't own that mod, you can't play that mod, because we said so. They did it to Baldur's Gate 3, they did it to Starfield, they do it for a lot of games, they've always done it for a lot of games, and this is the exact reason why Actman pulled an Actman and had to be served as Actman, thus becoming the definition of being an Actman. Being a hypocrite contrarian who goes along with the public opinion, shitting on people, and then immediately doubling back and trying to screw over other people that he had originally screwed over in the first place to say, listen guys, I didn't know that it was fucked up. It's bad, but I didn't know how bad it was. This is the death of modding for Baldur's Gate 3. Because unfortunately, mod.io behaves the exact same way as these companies. Why is it important? Well, if you remember, you might remember that Larian outright said they have no interest in continuing any kind of development with Baldur's Gate 3. They don't want to be in Baldur's Gate 3. They don't want to be involved with Baldur's Gate 4. It's why Wizard of the Coast is shopping around for a Baldur's Gate 4 developer. It's why everybody never knew or doesn't want to know or just simply has to accept that Larian wants nothing to do with it. Many people could say, much like this user said, it doesn't seem like it. It's only that some mods won't be receiving official support and consoles get less mods, which sucks, but for PCs, nothing's different. What do you mean nothing's different? It's completely ridiculous to say that nothing's different. Because official support of your mods, them saying, you can do it, we won't stop you, here, put it directly onto this thing. Because why the fuck do I need to go to mod.io when I could just go to the Steam Workshop? It is effectively, sorry from earlier, or sorry for later, it is effectively the death of modding. Because if I think that you're going to stop me from being able to make the kind of mods that I want to make, regardless of whatever the fucking mod is, I don't care if it's a sexy body mod, I don't care if it's a sex mod, I don't care if it's a more explicit sex and pregnancy mod, I don't care what you make for these video games, I want you to have access to them. They are limiting your access not only to the tools to develop them, but to the tools to share them. So why would I fucking care? Why would I get deeper involved? Because when a person perceives there to be something stopping you from being able to get involved with the game, why would I invest energy, time, and money into it? Why would I make somebody else's platform more popular? Why would I give somebody things that they don't need to have, see, or buy? What kind of fucking logic does that make? Why would I care? And I demonstrated this to a person who tried to tell me that it wouldn't matter by showing one of the people that I've actually had as a mutual in the past before, but he's an active moderator in his own right, saying exactly what I immediately thought knee-jerk, as well as then following up with exactly what all the modders are saying to themselves. This is a way to say in the middle of, in between the lines, that it's a big red fuck off sign to all those modders and all those people who would make new shit. Whether it be expansions for the game, or enhancements for the games, or fixes to bugs in the game. Why would I fix your goddamn game if you don't want me helping you? It's ridiculous. Because stupidly, and it is a stupid thing to think, why would you assume that somebody would want to make an expansion, an expansion, as Aqua calls it? Why would I want to make an expansion for your game? Why would I want to make additional content for your game? Why would I want to make a mod for your game if you're extremely anti-consumer? Now, of course, this particular user in question, for talking about this, he's getting shit on by all these people who are attacking him, telling him that they debunked this, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about this. Some people saying, bro, I don't know, this shit's not weird. Don't you think it's weird to ban people when the creator shared a video of a mod fight and thought it was great? It's selective. All of this shit, selective knee-jerk defense, it's being perceived as though it's a selective outrage, but it's not. Because anybody who has a functional understanding of how modding scenes work knows that this is the death of it. And this is what WD has done to Mortal Kombat 1. Why would I care? Is ultimately the staple of the story. Why the fuck would I ever buy this game for somebody else? Why would I ever buy this game for myself? Why would I ever play this game on camera? Why would I ever play this game off camera? Why would I ever give you the support of my money by supporting your product? You are anti-consumer to the point that you don't even want me to have physical rights over playing my video game in the isolation of myself. Fuck the multiplayer. You told me I can't own my own campaign. So if you buy this game, or if you bought this game, know that you spent $60 and $70, and pray tell you didn't spend for an expensive. Please tell me you didn't spend money on the fucking pre-order. Please tell me you didn't buy an enhanced edition. Down the fucking drain. It's not even an 07. It's an 07 and pressed to spit. Patooey. Moving on to the next story. This coming directly from Concord. First news story of this, I believe, was broken by the Park Price. I also believe it was broken by other people as well. But I'm using Park Price as the direct source because none of the sources that I went to decided to actually cite a proper goddamn source. Credit to Horror for this one, as well as the last one. Park Place news. For all the news, it should be fun. Concord, lead character designer, believes whites must acknowledge their privileged position and then actively work for equality. Also claims that the judicial system is white supremacy. Let's read the article. Concord lead character designer believes whites must acknowledge their privileged position and then actively work for equality, also claiming that the judicial system is white supremacy. Written by John F. Tritt on June 4th. John Wisniewski, the lead character designer for Firewalk Studios, developers of recently announced Concord game, is a woke activist that buys into the claim that white people are privileged. Following PlayStation showcasing Concord as a part of the most recent State of Play video, which was ass! At the end of May, game character designs were mocked across the internet. In the gaming subreddit, users declared Concord might have the ugliest character designs I've ever seen, and these are fucking ugly. Why the fuck you got her wearing that blue lip? Why you got her wearing that blue seagrass number 2? Others agreed. One user wrote, I'm not too keen on the character designs either, but I'm also tired of the Pixar toon look that most team shooters have since 2007. Another added, it's like they asked ChatGPT to make Overwatch again, but strip off all the identity. Piss yellow, moldy green, wine purple, blue lipstick. Who the fuck thought it was an acceptable color palette needs to go? It was not just Reddit, on X, on Yitter, Mangaloyer, learning the law. Arguably one of the biggest people who constantly agitates social situations in the culture war, but doesn't actually do anything to help prevent them or alleviate them. Concord is a new progressive modern shooter for PC and PlayStation. Features 5 black women, 4 aliens, 3 robots, and 1 white man. It's incredibly diverse and non-heteronormative. Plus, it has pronouns. Are you excited? Laughing emoji. Former World of Warcraft team lead, Grums, Mark Kern. Man, we got them all today. Also stated, Concord, new game of Firewalk Studios, is focused on inclusive teams. They forgot the white guys in their game. Inclusive should not mean racist against white people, but it too often does. Interested in working at Firewalk? Our team is actively looking to add passionate, visionary creators who want to thrive in environments where the status quo just won't do and genuinely want to be a part of a collaborative, inclusive, and respective team. As noted by Grums, not only does Firewalk make it clear that they are pushing for inclusion as a value of the company, but the company's lead character designer has made it clear he is a woke activist. Back in 2020, he responded to a post by former Bungie lead programmer Peter Kovetsky, who stated, thinking that all white people are unconsciously racist at the same time as thinking that all black people are unconsciously lazy. When Kovetsky replied, this is an oversimplification. Sentiment being expressed is that whites must acknowledge their privileged position and then actively work for equality. It will be hard and confronting work, but if we don't, we are complicit. And complicity allows systemic racism to persist. In another post, he declared, "I'm not accusing you, myself, or all whites of being Jim Crow racists. I also don't think anyone hearing it should immediately take it that way. Whites in America have always had an advantage in our social, economic, and justice systems just because we're white." This, of course, in response to Peter Goveski. It's literally racism to ascribe responsibility to an entire group of people because of the actions of an individual that belong in the same collective, especially when that collective is based on pure random chance and not a conscious decision of its participants. I've never been racist, I've never been the cause of anyone's disadvantage, and I understand there are racist individuals, and I am also not white by choice. Saying I share responsibility with slave owners or racist cops is literally like saying all criminals are black. Common sense? Random bullshit. He added, doing nothing and saying, well, I'm not racist, allows it to persist unchecked. We need to acknowledge the social advantages we had and use it to help other people pursue equality and justice. That needs to become the new I'm not racist, using your privilege to erode that very privilege, otherwise known as hang yourself by the neck and to make sure that I know you're one of the good ones. Until you eliminate yourself as a threat to me and my desires and my goals, I must assume that you want me dead. What a horrible way to think about people and the world. Part of that is humbling yourself. And probably part of that is humbling myself. Listen, people are angry. It's okay for them to yell inflammatory statements. I do it too. Now, I was told that's toxicity, and toxicity should be immediately banned, except that it doesn't, especially not in the games that I end up playing on the internet. I don't think when it comes down to the technical accuracy of the rage and whether or not that results in accusation towards me, it's not about me. So if I attack you and I tell you you're stupid, you're dumb, you're retarded, and you need to go back to making video games, you need to be a straight man and make goddamn video games the way you need to, it means you're gonna listen to me, right? Because I have the right skin color, I got the right denominations, and I'm of the right demographic. Therefore, you must do what I say, otherwise you are actually doing the wrong and the permanently bad. Next, he stated, I also know when we do the work and listen and learn, we'll likely find that even though we're not racist, we probably could have been doing a lot more to work against subtle and systemic racism around us. That's been true for me and many other white Americans. So I'm not replying because I think you're wrong, nor am I trying to say that you're racist even though you don't feel racist feelings. Just offering an appeal to hear the humanity coming from the black community right now. Let's help them. Nothing but love for you, Patar, he said with a sickle in his hand. So pain. So much pain. So much pain. Why the big fucker called Star Child? I don't know. In September 2020, he claimed the entire judicial system is white supremacy. The entire thread addresses white supremacy. Proud Boys are white supremacy. Police supremacy is white supremacy. The entire penal judicial system is white supremacy. The whole thread, white supremacy. Derek, I read the thread, and while I think the Proud Boys are doing is wrong, I didn't at one point think of that thread and see any part that addressed white supremacy. In fact, even the video, the big dude looks to be a person of color. Well, if the game looks like this, I don't think I'm finna buy it. I don't even know if it's free, but I'm certainly not downloading it. And again, just like the other one, I'm not supporting you with money, I'm not supporting you with my word of mouth. The only thing you're going to hear from me is bad news, because I ain't got nothing good to say about you or your behavior. Of course, this would be where many of them would say, bro, you didn't even play the game. And then my reply would be, bro, I don't want to play the game. This shit is embarrassing. Pain. Endless pain. Decrepit levels of pain. I find it strange that these stories start coming out more and more. You would have expected this to happen around the game's beginning life cycle, but I suppose the game is fully out, so it was just a matter of time before somebody went through the tweets and found them. But it's good that they did, because now you know. There's this whole thing that a lot of these writers and these developers have where they'll keep some really questionable, if not outright decrepitly bad tweets in the backlog and history of what they do, so that you don't know about them if you don't go looking for them. But by the time you go looking for the things, it makes it a lot easier for you to be able to handle them, honestly. Now we know, and knowing is half the suffering. Well, you shouldn't let it cause you suffering. You should take it on the chin? Question mark? You should take it on the chin and accept that, you know, it could be a lot worse. It could be a lot worse. You could have not known it. You could have accidentally gave them your money. Now, if you give them your money after hearing this student story from me or from somebody else, I believe Valor Dark's already covered it as well, then you have no one to blame but yourself. But outside of that, you do have a little bit, just a little bit, of some leeway. It can't all be your fault. But you do have to take some accountability if you end up giving into it. So, let me look at my wish list really quick. There's that one game made by that Lalonde girl. Where is it? It's the one that talks about the thing. Not that one, 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 not that one. It's the one that's supposed to be ooh, soft girl. There we go. Spirit Swap. Lo-fi beats to match 3-2. If I were to give my money, and I probably will, simply to see what happens inside this little Spirit Swap puzzle narrative LGBTQ plus video game that's story rich, when I look into this obvious big gay alternative of a replacement for Honey Pop, I can't say that I did not go in without knowing what was going to happen. The same thing as if I was to go into Persona 3 Reload, knowing the changes and swaps that they had made in that game as well. I know what's going to happen, so I don't have to be depressed when I see it. I know what's going to happen, so I just accept that it's in there and deal with it. I do not want Tales of Vesperia. So, all in all, it's kind of like hearing about a bad video game, and then you buy the bad video game, and then you play the bad video game, and then you say to yourself, bro, why did I buy this game? Because you wanted to, you know? I, despite knowing how bad, and having witnessed other people play it, want to experience Stranger of Paradise. Because I wanted to play it when it first released. I wanted to be there for this supposed entry into the Souls-like genre for a knockoff of something inside the universe of Final Fantasy. For the most part, it looks okay, but it is repetitive. But even then, I still want to experience it for myself. Because until I get my hands on it, I can't truly say that I know what to expect, or I know what it plays like, or looks like, or acts like. Same thing would apply with somebody playing Pizza Tower, or Persona 4 Golden, or Sunset Overdrive, or shit, even fucking Harvest Moon. Who's calling me? Oh, moshi moshi! Son no, dono desu ka? Son, nani no desu. He actually said no English. I love pissing off bullshit scam callers. Anyways. My point. There is a level of blame consumers have to take if they don't do the job of looking into it to find out what the fuck is about to happen to them. You don't get to say, I don't understand why this is happening, if you don't find out what's in the news story to know what to stay away from or what to give your money to. The responsibility does not begin with me. It begins with you. For my own investment, I can make a choice to say, I know what the fuck I'm getting into, but for the content, I'm gonna suffer for other people's enjoyment. You, not being content creators, if you are in your own right, that's different. But assuming that you have no interest in making videos on the internet, you have no interest in showing people what you do, you're just buying these to enjoy them yourself. You have to say to yourself, do I actually want to enjoy this game, or do I want to say that I was there? A lot of people get themselves in on the bottom ground floor of things to say, I was there. I want to say that I was there. I want to say that I played it. I want to say that I saw that it was bad. I was first. I was first. And that's not the same. So, that's shit. Let's see if we can get a palate cleanser here. This is the third topic I have for today. Straight from Turkey Tom. YouTube degenerates. Boop. Bop. Bada boop. Beep. Boop. 1-1. 1-1.
Imagine if you went to therapy and your counselor turned out to be a polyamorous transgender furry with multiple personalities. No need to imagine, you're about to find out. The person you're seeing is an online content creator and mental health counselor who goes by the name of Poppy, and in the past few years, they've been involved in a mire of drama and allegations.
Oh boy! It's this Poppy! You might not go to the Twitch politics, Carl, but the Twitch politics is definitely coming to you. Okay. Alright. I'm jumping in here for that. Oh boy. Jump in at any time when you can, Horde. Holy shit. Poppy and Xena, abusive parents. I kinda, sorta avoided this, but I guess I'm not allowed to avoid it. PZ said they didn't abuse their kid, that their kid abused them. Lying, there's proof. Why don't you keep these points in mind, read this document, while this is not the abuse of a minor, this is the abuse of a vulnerable person by people who claim parenthood over them. Poppy's child will be referred to as Spawn for the privacy. Poppy is not Spawn's biological parent, but has been parenting them since birth and the death of their mother when they were around 4 years old. At the time, Spawn was physically disabled without reliable transport, isolated, searching for a job, and using a trust fund from their deceased mother to pay Poppy and Xena's rent. Already off to a fucking horrible start. Woo, boy!
But before being Poppy, they were Joshua, an aspiring mental health worker who, in the early 2000s, married Juliana, a girl a few years older, with her being in her mid-20s and Joshua being just 19 years old. Most importantly, perhaps, she was 3 months pregnant with someone else's child. But he loved her so much that he was more than willing to marry her and adopt the child as his own. This isn't something many men are willing to do, but before you think this is some kind of admirable act of self-sacrifice in the name of love, Joshua, that is, after he became Poppy, not only came to regret this, but actually claimed that they were somehow groomed into the role of husband and parent. Despite—
How do you do that? How do you do that? How do you let yourself get groomed? Grooming implies that she came to you with another man's nut leaking from her coochie, and that you just fell into it. You made a choice. You made a choice. You were not groomed. You made a choice.
despite already being 19 years old when the decision to marry Juliana was made.
When I met my kid's mom, I buried every bit of trans that was in me and basically decided to do the whole like heteronormativity thing for a long time because I was scared of.
So you're saying that beforehand that you were already trans, and therefore you were groomed into straightness? Fuck out of here.
Transitioning, and B, was thinking this was the right thing to do. I was an idiot, but it did give my kid a parent.
Whether Poppy here is a reliable narrator or not, I'll let you decide. But what's suggested is that they were already trans at this point, and internalized transphobia is what got them into that position. That, or this is just how Poppy rationalized their underlying wish for the regular family life they once had. Unfortunately, this is something they didn't experience for long, since soon after the marriage took place and the child was born, Juliana tragically passed away in a horse riding accident, leaving Joshua to be a single parent to their 3-year-old daughter. There's truly no overstating the magnitude of losing your partner while you still have a very small child to take care of, and part of everything that happens from here on out is set in motion by this event. According to Poppy, their daughter is autistic, though it's worth saying he deduced this was the case without a proper diagnosis from a doctor.
Yeah, so I was not.
Which is what you're not supposed to do when you're a person who's in the fucking health, when you're in the health field. Ain't hard, bro. They do it for free. You go down to DFACS, and they do it for free. Or at a very significant low cost to you, especially if you already have stamps.
Not always been the smartest cookie, and one of the things is I didn't have any idea how autism worked because I don't have it. I knew how ADHD worked, you know, I had that down, but
so that means you don't have the right to be diagnosing your child. Shut up.
was not something I understood, and my kid was pretty autistic, and none of the doctors, the people I took them to, not a single person ever mentioned a damn thing, probably because they're AFAB.
Though information is scant on the pre-2010 years, we can assume that it was roughly during this period that Joshua attended Wayne State University, studying to eventually become a mental health counselor. He'd left a career in restaurant management behind to focus on getting the degrees he would need to do this, but despite these healthy ambitions, there were signs not everything was okay. The first sign of the extremely sexually impulsive behavior that would eventually be their undoing was when, immediately after his wife died, he got with a random goth chick from a Renaissance fair because she was hot and he needed someone in bed now that he wasn't married. I understand everyone deals.
I'm gonna let this pass because I'm looking at this girl, 246. I'm looking at this woman you're sitting next to, and they don't look all that impressive to me.
Admirable act of,
like, for one, goth girl? That looks like another trans. That looks like another trans woman. That looks like another male to female. I'm sorry, I don't believe that. That's really hard, because if that's what you call goth, on behalf of all the heavyweight championships of Sephora, I think you just insulted women. I think you just insulted womanhood. I think you just insulted buxom women. I'm offended. I'm offended for them. Absolutely not. No sir, no ma'am. I did not earn my BBW license in order for you to tell me that that's supposed to look like that. I mean, if that had been what you had gotten with, okay? If it was like that big husk of a woman, at the time that the last cycle of Twitch thought degeneracy was at its peak with the topless meta and the sensibar meta, the one that called herself, I think it was called Thotzilla, the one that got featured on side scrollers, looking like a big bag of hefty. I would have said, okay, she's a little bit heavyweight. She's definitely got kids, because titties don't hang low like that unless they get full of milk. I could say, okay, a bit much, but that is a goth woman. That's not a goth woman. That is the shit that I described before. That is a member of the elf resistance desperately trying to say, I can turn your boyfriend gay. No. Fuck off. Fuck off.
differently, not judging here, but they effectively put their child in danger. Poppy's daughter, whom I'll be referring to as Spawn, since that's their online handle.
I don't think that the picture itself is not the representation of the person. The person that I'm describing is the person with the green hair here.
Despite already being too but
this person right here, the one with the line, like with the yellowing green hair, if that's supposed to be the other person, if this is Xena, that doesn't look like a goth girl to me. That's what I'm trying to explain. The picture itself is AI generated, but that's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about. Fuck. Anyways.
Child in danger. Poppy's daughter.
The example I was saying is that if that image was supposed to be the partner, I would have believed that. But if it's this little fucking goblin-esque elf-looking person here, I don't believe that. I don't call that goth. Fuck off.
With grief differently, not judging here, but they effectively put their child in danger. Poppy's daughter, whom I'll be referring to as Spawn, since that's their online handle, eventually made a Tumblr post saying, Poppy's first partner after my biological mom died was abusive, and I still have trauma from that. It's unsure what exactly was meant by this because abusive can mean a whole variety of things. Regardless, it's very possible this is in reference to the aforementioned random goth girl, meaning Joshua's pleasure-seeking activity exposed his daughter to a freak, potentially some kind of predator. Speaking of predators, Poppy has also claimed that not only were they a victim of CSA, but, and I quote, they reduplicated it and did it to someone else, this someone else being their younger cousin. It's important to say that this event allegedly took place when Poppy was a teenager and obviously not operating at their full rational capacity. However, it is inevitably something to keep in mind going forward, since believe me, it will become relevant. Another thing to remember is that Poppy has also admitted to being abusive to Spawn, which is confirmed by the latter in the same Tumblr post I just read from. While Spawn didn't specify.
Also amazing that your daughter somehow fell into Tumblr. That's not shocking. But hey, if they didn't do that, we wouldn't have these links, so I suppose that's for the best.
What this consisted of, they suggested that it wasn't that bad, at least in this post. After this first partner, there were 3 more that
sounds like to me that whatever the goth girl was, it was an abusive woman, and I'm supposing the same person is not also Xena. However, I'm not impressed by your choice to pick the litter.
Spawn could remember, presumably taking place anywhere between 2004 and the mid-2010s, none of which are considered relevant. It's only in the mid to late 2010s that Poppy, at some point, still going by Joshua, meets Xena, their primary partner and the one who is most known for appearing in the streams, mostly staying quiet while doing activities like knitting or coloring.
So I was 100% correct.
Appearing in the streams, mostly staying quiet while doing activities like
that is a man. Or excuse me, that was a man. Okay. Alright. Okay. Alright. Carl was right! Carl was right!
knitting or coloring. Go play Warhammer like a real autistic person. Due to her passive demeanor, it's easy to trick yourself into thinking Xena is somehow milder in nature than Poppy, but you'd be very wrong. Xena, like Poppy, has a checkered past, and while she probably would like for people to only focus on the one time she played the martyr and got heroically kicked out of a Boy Scout camp for admitting to being a lesbian, it's not the non-binary furry coming out of the closet that's interesting here, but the skeletons that are still in it. Not many specifics are known in regard to the people she allegedly victimized or the nature of her actions, but another Tumblr post, presumably from someone in the same LGBT community as her, said, "Do not trust Xena. She is an abusive misogynist who has assaulted women in LGBT safe spaces. She is an aggressive trans misogynist who intimidates trans women, refuses to allow discussion of her trans misogyny, and preys on trans women." Though I do have to emphasize that these are just allegations, so as always, take it with a grain of salt. To add another layer of Machiavellian behavior on top of these claims, many people, including Spawn, have said that the whole being a quiet little grandma thing on stream is fully in act, as behind the scenes, Xena is even more aggressive and domineering than Poppy. Now is as good
Persona 2? Damn, that's crazy.
of a time as any to get into the alphabet soup of illnesses.
And if that is supposed to be a natural born AFAB, bro, you got a lot of, it's like a mixture of Kirsten Stewart along with, Elliot, if you know what I'm saying.
these people have, beginning with Xena. There are a couple physical conditions like migraines and IBS. Remember, she's a furry and probably owns a fursuit. Imagine how bad it smells. These are often cited as reasons for her being unemployed, along with something called PMDD, which is short for premenstrual dysphoric disorder, meaning dysphoria associated with accentuated PMS symptoms. But it's not just not having a job that Xena uses these issues as an excuse for. Any and all bad behavior gets swept under the rug of her conditions. If she gets upset and takes her frustration out on people, no matter how aggressive and methodical she can get, it's all the fault of her PMDD. But there may be a little wrinkle to that explanation. Xena takes testosterone, and the thing about taking T is in some cases it can literally give you roid rage, especially if you're someone with naturally low levels like she obviously would have. I'm not an endocrinologist, nor am I a specialist on PMDD, but while it is a real condition, it's not the root of her behavior issues, as many people would later point out. Seems odd that the testosterone doesn't even get considered in the discussion, but my point stands regardless. In Spawn's post, they describe Xena as not so bad when they first moved in, claiming that the only unusual thing about her was that she got sick very often due to their other housemates not being respectful about these substances they brought into the house. I'll have to do some—
Drugs? Drugs in the house with your kid? And you didn't get rid of them and find new ones? Man. Listen to you.
Text interpretation here because this could mean a lot of things. First off, it's entirely possible that housemates here may be referring to other partners of Poppy's due to their polyamorous lifestyle, but I'm not even sure that this was being practiced this early on in the timeline. As far as substances go, this may mean drug abuse was going on in the same household that a child lived in, which is worrisome to say the least. However, knowing Xena has intestinal issues and can't eat gluten, it may just be talking about foods that triggered her IBS. But as the 2010s approached their latter half, a lot of things changed. First off, after aiming to become a provider of gender-affirming healthcare, Poppy decided to get high off their own supply and transition as well, which is when the Poppy name popped up. At this point, Xena was still a neutral to positive presence in the household, sometimes even aiding Spawn with school and disability services. However, things changed drastically when 2020 rolled around, and all of them were confined inside their home. The aforementioned housemates were no longer present at this point, which is important since this meant it was just Poppy, Xena, and Spawn, who despite not being a minor anymore, was still obviously the person with the least authority in the household, being seen as and treated like a child. Absent other people who could potentially serve as checks and balances for dysfunctional and abusive behavior, Xena's true nature reared its ugly head. Spawn's Tumblr post reads, "Xena gradually became meaner and more controlling of me, despite numerous claims of them not wanting to be my parent. This is where those structured chore times and meal times start to come into play. Now that Poppy was working from home, Xena had to be in the living room a lot. Poppy always defended me when Xena had arguments, one-sided yelling matches with me, but as time went on, she started siding with Xena more and more. I didn't really notice at first because I still loved and defended my mom. It was my friends who pointed out that my mom was treating me poorly in May of 2022. The trouble started way before that though. I just didn't realize it was abuse and mistreatment." We'll get to the details of these chore and meal restrictions later when they're elaborated on by Spawn in a document made after they left the household. While it's still possible, let's stay chronological. While 2020 was named as the year things began to change, it went by mostly silent, a kind of calm before the storm. storm. It was only in February 2021 that Poppy began having an online presence to speak of, and that's when things really kicked into hyperdrive. The second video Poppy ever posted to their YouTube channel was about how all mental health counselors have to be left-wing for them to practice ethically. In and of itself, this is the kind of OG Tumblrina core content that gets you ridiculed online, but compared to their later actions, this is a fart in the wind. The third video detailed their personal history with BPD, a sign that Poppy was nearing final form. Like Cell from Dragon Ball Z, but with mental illnesses instead of Ki. Their interest in treating mental illnesses became, or maybe always was, secondary to developing them like a human petri dish. I will admit that I have no idea which of these are amateur self-diagnoses and which are things real psychiatrists and psychologists have diagnosed Poppy with, but I'll go over all of them nonetheless. First off, they claim to have borderline personality disorder, and though the nature of this condition isn't super well understood, to put it bluntly, Poppy is to BPD the same way Xena is to PMDD, a mental condition that serves as an umbrella for any kind of misbehavior. Poppy also claims to have OSDD, and I'll save you from hearing the technical rigmarole and simplify it as a milder form of having multiple personalities, referred to as being plural. The thing is, being plural isn't recognized as a real thing, at least not yet. As a matter of fact, it's closely associated with kids who watch too much TikTok and start thinking they're anime characters in real life and start giving themselves mental illnesses so that they have an identity to cling to. Before you consider the possibility that there is some credence to the claims of being plural, Poppy's headmates, because that's what they're referred to, are Penny, a tiger-shark hybrid described as a young
Of course!
girl, and Pepper, a tiger-spider hybrid that is canonically 12 to 14 years old. Pepper, a tiger-spider hybrid that is canonically 12 to 14 years old. Does this a tiger-spider hybrid that
Tiger-spider hybrid.
that is canonically 12 to 14 years old.
12 to 14 years old. Furries! Furries!
Does this sound creepy and insane to you?
It probably should.
Poppy's main identity also has an animal self, a hyena, specifically because female hyenas have what is called a pseudo-penis. I won't go too deep into explaining how that works because this video
It's a physical object that can get rigid and hard, comparable to a male hyena penis, so that male hyenas don't rape the females by getting right on top of them and mounting them in the middle of the wild. It's not as disgusting as you might think it is. However, knowing that they are a fucking furry, it's more akin to, this is how they associate, because I'm assuming that they're pre-op. This is how they associate still having male genitalia while also appearing hot and southern.
is already enough as is, but from the names with alliteration, the fursonas, and the bizarre age release.
What the fuck did you just come on to? Me watching a video and being told that a degenerate furry has a internal plural system comprising of a female furry and a childish female furry, while being a horrible parent to their child and allowing Olga, a partner that they are currently with, emotionally, physically, and mentally abuse their child, whilst being a self-help expert and a mental health advocate. The real horror is that this person is therapy patients. You're right. That is the worst thing. That's the worst thing, Peon. It is. People are in their care. People are being sent to them for help. For help. They're going to them for help. Ain't that about a bitch?
Related connotations. All of this is pretty disturbing, especially since Poppy has publicly admitted to having victimized a minor once, but we'll get to the practical implications of these alters later. The content being released was par for the course. One claimed that not dating trans people if you were straight meant you were a Nazi, and another begged everyone to wear masks.
Yes. If you don't suck my princess wand and polish my scepter, it means that you're a bigot. You don't want to be a bigot, do you? We got all the classics! They're all here!
Nothing too unusual for the political ideology Poppy espoused. Let's also not forget that the thumbnails of these videos looked like decomposing remains of an Armored Skeptic clone from 2014. Perhaps one of the most important and hypocritical pieces of content is one video titled "Authoritarian Parenting Can Lead to Abuse." Unsurprisingly, it seems that is exactly what was going on behind the scenes. As previously mentioned, Spawn eventually made a document cataloging the Discord messages they'd sent about the abuse going on at their house. The document noticeably doesn't cover the years 2020 and 2021, probably because Spawn was still under the illusion that Poppy and Xena's behavior was somehow redeemable, believing that it'd eventually stop and normal life would resume. However, after 2 years, not only did nothing improve, but it actually got worse. I can only assume that 2022 is when Spawn worked up the courage to start telling others about what they were going through. Many things documented here aren't that egregious, but instead they serve as proof that Poppy and Xena are only really hypersensitive when it serves them. For example, there's an instance here of Poppy saying that triggers are bullshit, something the majority of their audience would probably be appalled by. But there are some serious claims here as well. In May of 2022, Spawn describes how Xena forbade her from showering because she might need to use the bathroom, without specifying when. The context of this is that Spawn hadn't bathed in days and was walking around in 80-degree heat. Once they got home,
Carl, why are you crying? I know something you don't. I know something you never want to know.
Spawn, over text messages,
And I will not repeat it.
Xena for permission to use the shower and got it, only for the permission to immediately be revoked, with Xena saying, "Actually, you should wait until we get home so the dog won't be alone for the 15 to 20 minutes you'll be in the shower for." If this seems like someone making up arbitrary rules just for the pleasure of micromanaging someone else, it's because that's what it is. Just 10 days later, Xena delivers a prolonged browbeating session over text messages, repeatedly telling Spawn not to move
Did I not say I'm not repeating it, Harvey? All you need to know, if you really think you need to know what just occurred to me about that information that was just given to us, look into furries and look into their fetishes with smells.
of her things whatsoever, regardless of circumstance. The thing is, they're talking about objects that were sprawled over the couch, and Spawn only moved them to clean the room. In June, we get an exchange in which Poppy is complaining about how long it took Spawn to do the dishes, neglecting the fact that there were 3 days worth of dishes in the kitchen. I'm starting to believe in the horseshoe theory because of this. This is Mussolini tier obsession with punctuality. The trains must run on time. No more chuddies jumping on the bed. Spawn proceeds to complain about this on Discord, saying, "You can't offload 3 days of dishes on me and then get mad when it takes a long time." Then they got mad at me for waking up late and got mad at me for starting my bed routine 30 minutes late. I am 22, but every aspect of my life is time. I still have a bedtime, and they keep moving said bedtime earlier and earlier because of not doing other things on time. I literally have ADHD, autism, and a heart condition. I can't always do things on time, especially in the heat because of my blood disorder, which means heat affects me so much worse. I collapsed a few weeks ago, and we don't have an AC and haven't since March. The blood disorder being referred to here is POTS, a condition that can be really debilitating depending on severity. Basically, it means being upright for too long, and excess heat can cause intense fatigue, nausea, and other similar symptoms. Again, for someone with this condition, an AC isn't just a convenience, but can actually keep them functional while indoors. It would be inconsiderate for a regular person to leave their kid with POTS for 3 months without AC, but considering how much Poppy and Xena virtue signal about being supportive and wholesome in their content, it's a highlight of their hypocrisy. And another—
Why don't your motherfuckers got money for an AC unit? Are y'all earning that little from your YouTube grift and your Twitter grift and your Twitch grift that you can't afford your 22-year-old daughter a fucking air conditioning unit that can be plugged into the room and installed similar to the one that I installed in my wife's bedroom? Or even a fucking wind machine fan like the one that is currently blowing this sweet, succulent, cold air up and down my back? Shit's not hard to get. It's like $20 fucking dollars. This one came free from our repair company for them repairing the water damage in my bedroom. You're telling me you can't afford $20 for a wind machine? That's crazy.
Other incidents.
But then again, if you gave him a wind machine, I would still be disgusted because you're stopping her off from taking showers, bro. And again, I know something you don't. I know something you don't want to know. I know something you don't. And I will not tell you you don't want to know. Once again, and I say again, fucking furries!
Spawn went to the kitchen later than usual, only for Xena to tell them they couldn't get lunch anymore. Attached is an exchange between Poppy and Spawn, which went as follows. I get that I was late, but I need food. I should be allowed to get food when I need it. Poppy, we have a schedule in our house. You need to follow that. Xena doesn't get personal time with constant interruptions. While I agree with you that making lunch shouldn't be an issue, in the past, the problem is that often making lunch has been noisy or a time to overly interact with Xena. You are also positive with COVID. That's an issue as well. Please remember that. The schedule as a whole is more important because it will prevent close contact.
Preventing close contact because of COVID. Gulagging your adult child from getting nom-noms because you don't want to lose your personal time with your current partner. And telling them it's to keep them from spreading the coof. We're seeing levels of parental abuse that is now reaching the levels of, nigga, come on. I see John figured it out. Every single definition of degeneracy, chat. We're seeing every single one. I mean, every single definition of degeneracy. I'm surprised that you have not had somebody involve something involving diapers. I'm surprised diapers hasn't come up yet. But you wait! There's more! I beg you, seize your phone, call the AC company, and get air conditioning installed to the darkest household.
Spawn explained that being sick made them hungrier than usual, to no avail. I don't know about you, but I find it strange that Poppy is willing to let their biological child go hungry while they're sick, mind you, just to give Xena uninterrupted personal time. The interruption here being noises in the kitchen, which I guess are enough to—
What do you mean by interrupted personal time? Is that another way of you saying boinking? Are you boinking? Are you boinking, Xena? Are you boinking this Kristen Stewart Elliot stand-in? Is that what you call it? Is that what you call it when you use your female hyena extension? I'm appalled.
to disturb her precious peace. Another example of this is when Spawn recounts having to go get water from the fridge in order to take their medication, only for this to disturb Xena, who started complaining about how that should have been done ahead of time. The only reason Spawn was doing that was that their tap water was shut off due to maintenance, something unpredictable and not within their control. I have to make a caveat here to say, is Xena sleeping in the kitchen? What kind of arrangement is this that you can't do absolutely anything in the kitchen? Otherwise, the Dark Souls boss that is your furry stepmom will awaken and hurt you. Just a day later, Spawn says, "Convinced Xena is genuinely trying to starve me. I was about to make spaghetti, and Xena told me to make something quick. I go to make a PB&J, but realize I don't have any jelly, so I ask my parents if I can use their Smucker's brand one, and they say yes. Already put peanut butter on one half of the sandwich at this point, realize the Smucker's jelly is moldy and smells really bad, so I ask if I can use the other jelly in the fridge that's Xena's, for, need I remind you, a single sandwich. Xena says no and says, if I let you use it, then I won't have any left. Poppy has to convince them to let me use their jelly for one singular sandwich. Arbitrarily controlling food intake is a very common kind of abuse of parental authority, and given Xena is on test, as we've already established, it may be the cause of this antagonistic and territorial relationship she developed with the Spawn. However, while Xena was the main person behind terrorizing Spawn, Poppy also played a role. Despite regularly complaining that it was Spawn's own fault that their blood disorder acted up, claiming that they weren't eating properly, Poppy did things like labeling and withholding salami. One of the very...
So not only abusing through the withhold and withdrawal of food, but risking the death of your child. A child who, by all apparent logic and seems, is fully drunk in on the Kool-Aid of the progressive stack. And even your 22-year-old daughter, who refers to her father as their mother, to conform to societal standards. You understand. Can't be a transphobic bigot when you're holding your parent accountable for nearly killing you, could you? Is getting the roundabout shit that if it were any kind of other situation, it would also be called out for being poor. But because they're good little trans, it's somehow not being discussed as much as it should have been. With the exception, of course, of Stardust laying into both of them. Because I do know that she covered this topic on her channel. There are others that covered it as well, but none so vocally as Stardust. It is an embarrassment to parenthood abound. I, as a father, and I, outside myself, as a Negro, am appalled and disgusted. I know I'm not a perfect person. So goddamn, I wish somebody told me an opposite universe Carl was abusing his son. I would go to jail happy that day.
Few sources of protein in the house. I guess the furry thing was realer than I thought. These people are behaving like actual animals and claiming food like they're hunter-gatherers. From acting like putting plastic cups in the dishwasher was unforgivable, to yelling at Spawn for proactively putting up a gate for their dog, a chore that Poppy and Xena had neglected to do for months. It seemed there was nothing Spawn could do to please them. To make matters worse, Poppy told Spawn things like, I don't think you can ever repair what you've done to your relationship with Xena, as if she was the one at fault for it deteriorating. Spawn was yelled at for going to the kitchen outside of their allotted time, yelled at for moving furniture to vacuum their bedroom, and punished with more chores. When Spawn complained, Poppy and Xena said that the domestic issues should be discussed during family meetings. But when the time came for these meetings, they either ignored everything or claimed Spawn was in the wrong. Noticing that things were being pushed to their breaking point, Poppy and Xena decided to task Spawn with making a list of things they were upset about, and the list was promptly made. It pointed out that Poppy and Xena didn't respect the strict bathroom and kitchen times, and for things to be fair, everyone should have free access to all common areas of the house. Additionally, Spawn complains that P and Z often didn't do their chores at all, letting them accumulate until Spawn had to do them all. While Poppy and Xena could opt out of doing something if they had a migraine, Spawn had to thug it out no matter how bad their pots got, and not only get things done, but get them done on time. To add to the previous mention of arbitrarily controlling food intake, not only was Spawn frequently forbidden from entering the kitchen, they also couldn't even bring snacks with them into their room, not even if they were drinks, which people with pots regularly need to maintain their salt intake and treat their condition. Based on the list
again, all this money that apparently you two make as a part of the left wing on Twitch, because it's a cabal and a cult, and unless you build an audience and enclave of your own, you ain't finna have shit. You're telling me you can't afford Amazon Prime snacks. What do I mean by that? I will tell you very quickly, chat. I'll show you even. Pantry, pantry, pantry. outside of Amazon Prime, on top of Amazon Fresh, which is more of a direct delivery service, when you have Amazon Prime, there is a service that you can directly get use of that is called Amazon Pantry, where it effectively gives you the best possible deals and meals that you want for foods and snacks. They are not only extremely affordable, but easy to get on delivery, especially if you are a person who has it. Now, not every single Twitch content creator that has an account on the platform always has Amazon Prime, but let's assume that you have at least Amazon Prime for the sense that you want to be able to have Twitch Prime on somebody else's account. Or on your own, excuse me. You niggas telling me that you can't afford a Duncan Hines box of dark chocolate fudge? You motherfuckers are telling me you can't afford an 18-pack or a 4-pack of Kraft mac and cheese? You're telling me you can't afford $8 chunk light tuna, 1 box vanilla wafers, $6 box of party size Ritz, $4 box of Pop Secret, $2.68 of Amazon brand cereal bars in an 8 count, wonderful pistachios, $7.50. Kellogg Snack Brand 30-pack variety mega pack. It comes locked and sealed. Cheez-Its of 2 flavors, Pringles and Rice Krispie Treats for $13? You telling me you motherfuckers are so goddamn stingy? You can't even afford a less than $1 fucking can of Amazon Fresh chicken noodle soup. You can leave a can in a can opener. And you telling me the girl can't get a snack? Huh? Not to mention the food credits we can get things for free. Thank you for bringing it up, Peon. Huh? Huh? For real? Is that bad? Y'all that bad with money? Now, let's assume, if we can, because why would Spawn need to lie? It'd be crazy if this entire news story was just 3 people instead of 2 people being horrible individuals using and abusing the social cues that we have in society to make themselves seem like they're victims of their actual horrible people. That'd be horrible. That'd be really sad. But let's assume that Spawn is telling the truth, because why would they need to lie? This is something crazy to lie about just for attention, to get your stepmom and your mom, your dad mom to get your crazy furry stepmom and your dad mom in trouble. That'd be a crazy thing to do. But it's even crazier is that you guys feel no shame for what you're doing to your child. Your adult child. I have to assume because of POTS, Spawn can't work. So whatever money they make of their own, if they're not also a streamer and they're an inside girl, that they aren't making money on the internet, so they depend on you for food, and you're starving them. You're keeping them unbathed and unwashed for reasons I will not describe explicitly. And you're also incapable of delivering shit for them to eat. You guys are keeping a filthy fucking house, and you make her wash and clean and dry and take care of everything. You're telling me you motherfuckers are too stingy to buy even a single snack brand for your child. Carl's getting upset, but this ain't a normal kind of anger. This is the kind of rage that y'all motherfuckers ain't never seen before. I'm getting tired of hearing this shit. Let's hope I can make it to the end of the goddamn video.
Alone, it's easy to interpret that while Poppy just seems negligent and occasionally unfair, Xena is systematically abusive. By doing things like limiting Spawn's access to the dog for no reason, and deliberately excluding Spawn from meals, it looks as if any source of positive reinforcement was getting cut off. One of the most damning aspects of the control they had was that no money was to be spent without approval from Poppy and Xena, even if the money belonged to Spawn, something many people have called financial abuse, since Poppy did, at one point, threaten to freeze Spawn's account. The list was concluded concluded with a warning that if these complaints weren't attended to, Spawn intended to move out. This wasn't an empty threat, since Spawn had been planning to do so already, speaking to an unnamed friend to secure temporary housing in case the abuse worsened. However, Poppy caught wind of this and got mad at Spawn for it. This was Poppy's assessment of the list. Half of the list items were just dishonest, and half of them were partial framings that ignored any context. To be clear, I'm not a perfect parent. I was young, abusive, and shitty when they were young, and dealing with the grief of their mom dying. But I spent 15 years in therapy and Zen Buddhism.
What therapy? What Zen Buddhism? Zen Buddhism told you to starve your child? What the fuck you trying to do? Make her a shika monk? Huh? Is that what you doing? You trying to get that? You trying to peak in prime and game for the shika mummification? Is that what's going on? Did you get really into Tears of the Kingdom?
Trying to make up for that shit, only to watch them try to become a wedge between myself and my fiance. Text messages show Xena becoming upset at merely being asked what her credit score was, despite the context obviously being to help Spawn move out. Poppy and Xena's complete lack of cooperation put the plans to move out on an indefinite hold. Meanwhile, after spending a week at a friend's place, Spawn comes back to find out that the house was so neglected in their absence that actual mold had grown on the counter. Not some moist and dark corner of the house, the kitchen counter. Every attempt to make domestic living less confusing and conflicting was shot down, usually by Xena, who refused to do simple things like use tone indicators over messages to improve communication, which is,
The fuck is a tone communicator? Also, does this not make for a really good thumbnail here, guys? The picture of the two moms wearing their furry hats, talking about how actually you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't do that. The thought that Carl just had was transphobic and was also misogynistic, but was 100% correct. However, he will not be voicing it.
Things like use tone indicators over messages to improve communication, which is I don't even understand why this is tone indicators. Why are tone indicators needed? Or let Spawn use the microwave after this is tone indicators. Why are tone indicators needed? Or let Spawn use the microwave after they hadn't eaten anything for 8 hours. On that last part, Spawn did eventually eat 2 hours later, making for a total of 10 hours without food because Xena might get a migraine. Xena refused to drive Spawn to the dentist because she might get a migraine. Xena accused Spawn of lying about their POTS. Xena deliberately used Spawn's mealtime, preventing them from eating anything. Are you getting the picture here? It's important to note that at this point, not only was Spawn paying for rent, but also paying for the food they ate, meaning there was...
Oh, that's even worse. So you're charging her rent, which means they must be having a type of job outside the household. Otherwise, where are they getting the money to pay you? You're charging them rent, making them pay for food, abusing them, mistreating them, gaslighting them, attempting to drive them insane, nearly killing them, and you can't expend a single bit of fucking money. So the answer of why can't you buy shit for her, because you won't! And you make her pay for food out of her own money. Wow! Wow! Doesn't it make you want to be a parent, guys?
Absolutely nothing justifying their lack of authority over anything. The extremely strict rules were bad enough as is, but the fact that P and Z didn't even try to respect them made it all significantly worse. The best example of this is that while you can't even fart in the vicinity of Xena without giving her a migraine, Poppy often barged into the bathroom while Spawn was using it, and when confronted about it, they responded with the following: "If the door's open, I can come in whenever I want. I don't care if it makes you uncomfortable." By November 2022, Spawn still had access to their bank account, but for the entirety of that month, they were forbidden from buying any food that had to be stored in the freezer or fridge, meaning despite having money, they were limited to getting things like granola bars. Spawn was now living under the threat of having their internet access cut off, and with it, communication from friends, which is a telltale sign of abuse and even cult-like.
It's worse than a sign of abuse. It's a sign of control and constriction of outside information. Because it's clear, and this was a mistake on Spawn's part, that by communicating that you were looking for a way to get out, that you were getting from underneath their control. So they're controlling your ability to get access to do this, at which point you need to call the fucking cops. You need to call the fucking cops, and you need to start setting up emancipation. You need to set up emancipation so that you can be taken to a center, be taken to a support group, taken to a safe house, to be able to get away from your clear abusers. Because if you allow them to lock this in, it's like a figure 4 leg lock. It's like an arm bar. They will break your little butt and snap you in pieces. Because this is what you do when you want to drive someone insane, so that you can claim things about them that they don't have a way of disproving, because the only two people who are there to witness it are a conjoined, combined couple. Once you're isolated and by yourself, people can do whatever the fuck they want to you. Gang up on you, hurt you, scar you, and then give you the worst case of Munchausen's. Or any of the other things that happen when you're held in captivity. If she didn't have a mental condition or a health condition before, this would give her a health and mental condition. Guaranteed. And if not already having one, exacerbate them by a magnitude of 10. How I wish I did not work in the public sector. How I wish that I did not know these things. How I wish, how I wish, how I wish, how I wish, how I wish. How I wish! If I didn't know all of these things, the way that I know them, it'd be better. But because I know these things in this way, it makes it painful. The money is from their inheritance from their dead mother. Yo, Carl, what's going on? We're currently on the third topic of today's Carl at Home. It's a very big doozy. How are you doing, Sippy? Theremin Trees has many videos on what to do in a situation like this. Yep, it's a good resource. True, 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 true. True, 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 true.
Like behavior. This was done under the excuse that Spawn needed to get a job, but then again, not having access to the internet makes job hunting harder than it needs to be. The stress was so bad that their hair started falling out again. The incidents continued to worsen as the end of the year approached, with Xena yelling at Spawn for getting cereal at 11 a.m. when no one else was in the kitchen. Xena was in her bedroom before deciding to get up and chase after Spawn just to berate them. When Poppy caught wind of this, all they had to say was, "I'm sorry you felt yelled at." Despite wanting the authority that came with being a parent, Xena hated the idea of actually being a parent and having to care for the person she was lording over. Chores were weaponized.
Things Xena just said to me. I'm starting to feel like your parent and not your housemate. You are dating my mom. That makes you my parent by default. You should feel like a parent. That is your job. Remember when Carl said, if I get with a woman and then I am part of a relationship with a parent who has a child, that de facto makes me that parent over that child? I said that, I'm pretty sure, the last 4 months. Yeah, that's why that happens. Why, Carl? Do you think there's a lot of African American children that are disrespectful and have the attitude of, "You're not my dad," when dealing with people who are dating their parent? It's because the child inherently makes them feel like they are your parent, and they don't like how you treat their parent. It is something that inherently causes that problem. It is probably the most common thing you could do or could have happen. Like, this is why Poppy is getting she's getting the true African American experience. Do you know what that means, chat? Welcome, my nigga, you are officially black. How does it feel to be black, Swan? Does it feel good? It feels horrible. It feels like your mother is treating you like a Telebarricade character. Well, I'm sorry to tell you, but you black girly. Carl is laughing because if he doesn't laugh, he will be in screaming pain. Like, this is how it starts. Give her. Spawn is a woman. A wallball. This is what causes all this shit. This is what causes this problem. This is what causes the issues. I don't see how this is being anything else. than what it's working up to. Starting to feel like you're my parent, not your housemate. Clarification, she's mad that she keeps having to clean up after me because I left one small cardboard box in the kitchen counter. They even admitted it. Dave paraphrased the word slightly. I wonder why. Copy of the conversation. Asked blank to take care of their food packaging that left in the kitchen. They did so. Explained they need to start picking up after themselves because I have to move their packaging multiple times for the last week. I said I was starting to feel like a parent picking up after a kid and not their housemate. I asked them to work on the skill. They responded with yes. Yeah. The question, of course, I would have is, was this given to you by Poppy? Did your dad, Mumby, show you this? That's crazy. Because there's two interpretations. You showed it because you wanted them to know how little of a fuck you gave. You showed it because you didn't realize that what you were doing was confirming to your child exactly how the step-parent feels about them. Man, if this couldn't be used as a modern-day retelling of Cinderella, I don't know what is. The only question is, who's going to play Prince Charming? Or rather, because we don't like using gender titles. Royalty non-binary. Isn't it going to be a soft, uwu, NB, black lesbian? Yeah.
This is a way to prevent Spawn from being able to see their friends, but whenever this was met with unhappiness, Xena tried to play the victim and claimed Spawn was framing her as abusive. Despite outright saying she didn't want to be Spawn's parent, she threatened to get guardianship custody over them if they didn't get a job. Even when Poppy occasionally
Xena legitimately told me if I haven't moved out by May, I have three options. Being homeless, option I don't want to talk about because it's ran off the screen, that's also bad, and then filing for guardianship custody of me. Xena imposing arbitrary rules for no reason other than to screw me over. After Xena was done in the bathroom, Mom was going to let me go real quick, and Xena got mad because it's my turn, though, and kept fighting my mom and putting words in my mouth because clearly their interpretation of the situation is the correct one, despite being told the direct opposite. Like, blank already agreed to letting me do this. This literally only affects her. Why are you fighting us on it?
relapsed and was minimally nice to Spawn, Xena made sure to intervene and prevent it. In one instance, Poppy was about to let Spawn use the bathroom, unscheduled, but Xena made sure that didn't happen and kept them waiting another 15 minutes. As 2023 began, Spawn was occasionally burdened with over 7 hours of chores, and if they didn't get it done, they lost access to the internet. Bad enough as it already was, there were signs that it was about to worsen. Poppy, in another Munchausen by proxy moment, decided that Spawn had dissociative identity disorder and was actively trying to get her diagnosed with it. This potentially meant that Spawn stood to lose every last bit of their agency and be forced to be under the care of P and Z permanently. Not to mention,
yeah, I hate when I'm right.
Potentially taking psychiatric meds to ensure her compliance. In another example of cult-like behavior, Poppy was withholding Spawn's mail, which almost caused them to lose health insurance. Internet access began being frequently withheld as a punishment for not doing chores up to Xena's satisfaction. The most egregious example of this being when Spawn was told that if they did all of the chores during the weekend, they'd get internet back on Monday. The thing is, when Monday came, the internet didn't, and when Spawn asked about it, they were accused of badgering Poppy and Xena punished them by, you guessed it, withholding the internet. Supposedly, this was because some chore wasn't done, but it wasn't specified which one. When Spawn asked Poppy, they realized neither knew, meaning Xena was keeping both of them in the dark, probably because there was no chore that went undone, and she just wanted to punish Spawn again. This could have been easily rectified with a brief conversation with Xena, but of course, she had a stomach bug and couldn't be bothered. The documented instances of abuse in 2023 become noticeably sparse because at this point, Spawn spent more time without access to the internet than with it. All of it culminated in late April, when, after spending 10 days offline, Spawn listed 2 job-related appointments they needed internet for, only for Xena to say that internet access could only be given if Spawn made a satisfactory offering in exchange. We've officially moved
you're
from
actively restricting their ability to bring money to the household as you continue to make your adult child pay rent and continue to treat them like they're fucking 6. You have gone from, we're trying to teach you lessons in manners, to we are punishing you for the crime of existing. It would have literally been better if her mother had swallowed her. And I'm not saying that as a castigation on Spawn. Spawn literally is being punished for being alive and in your house. It would have been better at this point if you're not going to treat them better, you're not going to let them move the fuck out, and you're not going to treat them like a goddamn doll that you care, cherish, and love for, that they should have just not existed. That way, whatever delusional shit you've gotten on, you don't drag them down with you. How do you stand this shit and not make yourself feel better about it? Or make yourself feel worse about it so you have the motivation to fucking change? Holy shit! This is actually demonic!
From abusive parent to tyrants, all the way to Old Testament pagan deity. Xena does sound like some ancient Babylonian demon, all things considered. However, when Spawn asked what was considered an acceptable offering, Xena told her that she had to figure it out on her own. Later on, as it turns out, this was a test of some kind, and Spawn failed, though I have no clue what that means. If I were to guess, that was just the excuse Xena came up with to explain this obviously insane request. About half a month later, Spawn said they were going out for the day and proceeded to escape through the window, emptying out a trust fund of theirs in order to afford the cost of leaving the house. When talking about this on stream, Poppy inadvertently confesses to not being concerned about their kid whatsoever, and instead just being worried about the money Spawn had taken. This is the degree of lovelessness we're talking about. Imagine if your kid went AWOL and all you thought about was money. From this entire story, you might be wondering if this dynamic duo has made other victims, and the answer is a definite yes. As I mentioned much earlier, Poppy is polyamorous. Though the only partner who's really stuck around through thick and thin is Xena, the other partners are a revolving door.
Why, though? Why would Xena be the only one that stuck around as a revolving door of sexual dominances?
Or of people with differing degrees of relevance. Until around the time Spawn left the house, which is early to mid 2023, there weren't many negative things being publicly said about Poppy and Xena, even if some people already disliked them. However, Poppy's behavior grew more and more erratic. The first sign something was wrong was when replying to a tweet by someone called Aaron, Poppy made a sexual insinuation about them, which was met with only one word: gross. But that's not the important part of the story. Poppy got quite upset about this exchange, saying, "I am a xenogender trans woman who literally uses a neurogender based on being hypersexual and a survivor of CSA. She simply could have said it made her uncomfortable. I would have apologized and deleted the tweet." The first
So I'm just going to post this before it becomes a thing. The reason Aaron blocked me was because I made a pass at her on an obviously sexual post. She has now proceeded to call me creepy, blocked me, and is now rape jacketing me. My account says suck to be in for a reason. Fuck my life. My tea is now out of my hand.
insinuation about something was wrong was when replying to a tweet by someone called Aaron, Poppy made a sexual insinuation.
Poppy, diabolic, succubian therapist. Can you suck while fasting? I'd like to help you find out. Gross! Let's play a game, chat. Let's play a game. Here.
We got quite upset about this.
Here's a. Let's make a social game out of this. 1 second. I'm gonna go down a few levels to CCN. Let's make it a game real quick. 5 minutes. It'll take 5 minutes to play this game, chat. Let's play this game. Let's play a game. Succubian being of the succubus, meaning they're cosplaying as a fictional creature that exists to sperm jack people. Let's play a game, chat. Take your time, pile it. Don't pile it all at once now. Let's play a game. The game is what shouldn't you say on the internet? Right? Simple game, chat. You can play in chat, you can play in voice chat. What shouldn't you say on the internet when someone says something to the effect of, can you while fasting? Anyone? Anyone at all? I can start off. You shouldn't say, I can help you find out. Aqua's answer is great. You shouldn't even respond, especially if the approach is uninvited. You shouldn't say, let me help you check. Let's ask another question. Should you say that the only reason to reply and talk about it while being privated is that you should post about this big oopsie poopsie, this big fucky wucky you did, and say, listen, the only reason you mad is because I made a pass. Like, I call myself a succubian therapist for a reason. I'm just trying to help you. Should you say that? In reply for you making an uninvited pass at a person on the internet? No. Source, proof, ignore the post. Probably should apologize. Apologize, they're transgender. They don't have to apologize. They exist in a primal subspace existence similar to an electron inside of an electron cloud. They don't have to apologize. In fact, by insisting that they should apologize, that makes you transphobic and a bigot. It's more like they was helping themselves. Yes, they were trying to help themselves with that succulent princess scepter. In lieu of screaming and shouting, as a played up emotional reaction, I'm gonna just simply say, what the fuck is wrong with Poppy? What is wrong with an internet content creator that believes that the smartest thing that they could do was sexually approach someone like this? You are right, they are of the divine caste. Yes, you would say, I would be so lucky, my lord. You see, that's transphobic! Because as we were just told in the next section, they are a xenogender trans woman using a neurogender based on being hypersexual and a survivor of CSA. So by calling them my lord, you are also transphobic, and you will be sent to the cock and ball torture. The correct response is like British procedure when talking to members of the Royal Crown. You get up, you curtsy, you bow, and you say, Your Grace. Ah! Ah! Yet imagine, just like Sebastian thinks it is cruel and mean that people do not talk enough about the abuses of people inside of other genders and races, that we can't even criticize. Why can't even criticize Poppy correctly? Because as you can see and tell and understand, I have a wife, and I am obviously presenting and being and existing and negroishly becoming male and black and Cajun So because I am not transgender, I lack the effective tools to criticize Poppy.
Where there's a will and a whap, there's a way.
Oh, woo! Yes, indeed there is. But not for this wop. Welcome back, Soupy. Welcome back, Soupy. My soul is flying outside of my being. It has reached a primal cosmic, that it has now laughed itself into the primal existence. Xenogender trans woman, literally using a neurogender based on being hypersexual in Survivor CSA. Beyond that, nothing above required this behavior. She could have said it made her uncomfortable. I would have apologized and deleted the tweet. I also stand by me.
Gender based on
By
being
me
hypersexual
behavior.
and a survivor of CSA. She simply could have said it made her uncomfortable. I would have apologized and deleted.
I also stand by me behavior. I flirt with everyone over 18, and if I cross the line, I will always apologize and try to make amends. Maybe you shouldn't flirt with everyone. Maybe you should only flirt if the flirtation is invited. Maybe you should act like you were male. And you should be very, very sensitive. The same way that men have become sensitive and aware of how women can be. Maybe just don't approach them. Don't come to them. Don't talk to them. Just because they say these things on the internet doesn't mean it's an invitation for you to be weird. Anyone who's followed me for any length of time knows this. I do not deserve this framing or this bullshit. The bullshit of being looked at like a fucking weirdo because you act like a weirdo. You shouldn't be allowed to criticize me! I have the princess pass. If you literally think I am in the wrong, block me.
The tweet. I also stand by my behavior. I flirt with everyone over 18, and if I cross a line, I will always apologize and make amends. I do not deserve this framing or BS. If you legitimately think I'm in the wrong, block me. It's ironic that this.
I genuinely struggle with people who can't use their words to make a boundary. My goal is never to make people uncomfortable. But you succeeded in the goal! Ba-da-da-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum! You made her feel weird!
Was said because the only reason this rant happened was due to Aaron doing just that, blocking Poppy. Woven through the tweets is the word succubian, a word.
Xenogender and neurogender related to succubi. Those that identify as succubian have a gender that is feminine and seductive energies. This term is intended to be used by those with sexual trauma and or hypersexuality. The masculine counterpart is incubian. This is a load of malarkey.
Word Poppy uses to describe the xenogender, or maybe the neurogender, whatever it is that's responsible for the unsolicited comments, as if giving it a name made it any less.
Xenogender, non-binary gender identity, an umbrella term for which one's gender goes beyond the human understandings of gender. Like furries, the bad kind. It is instead crafted by other methods of gender categorization. This includes genders that are not related to animals, plants, and other things that are not traditionally a gender. They are often used by the neurodivergent community, those with ADHD, autism, OCD, etc., but it is not exclusive. Meaning, I could be whatever I want to be at any moment in time. I'm a hypersexual trans fluid creature moving on 17 dimensions and bounds. You'll never know what dimension I'll slip into today.
In the same way, PMDD and BPD have been used to justify bad behavior so far, Poppy's unhealthy sexual dynamics and compulsive lewdness are excused under the guise of them being succubian. However, we'd soon come to find out this signaled a much deeper problem, one which few knew about. While the situation I'm about to go over happened around the same time, May 2023, information about it only came out in August of that year, when someone named Melina made a Twitter thread accusing Poppy and Xena of being abusive hypocrites. We've begin the series of screenshots compiled and shared by Melina, with Xena love-bombing her into sticking around and being extra supportive to Poppy and Xena. If you don't know what love-bombing is, it's when an abuser, consciously or otherwise, overloads their target with positive reinforcement so that when said reinforcement is withheld, they feel inclined to do anything to get it back, becoming easy to manipulate. This is immediately followed by Prince of Poppy talking about the rates paid to their YouTube channel's editors, who are repeatedly referred to as volunteers, so I'm not too sure about the specifics of their arrangement. But regardless of the details, the highlights of these messages is when Poppy admits that being in sexual relationships with multiple of the people working on the channel makes it more difficult to keep things functional. Call me old-fashioned, but being in a relationship with your employees doesn't sound like a good idea. Though I understand that
Leftists, bro. They literally fuck the people that they make money with. It's far beyond don't shit where you eat. It's far beyond that. They literally don't feel comfortable unless they have been in bed with every single person that they make content with, talk to on stream, help edit their content, go to live stream events with, and actively help them with setting up their political aspirations. If they haven't had their dick and or vagina in, around, or slurping on you, they feel uncomfy vibes. Messy. Messy, 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 messy. Messy! Messy. Why are they so messy? Well, when you have absolutely no inhibitions and you have no boundaries, when people have boundaries with you, it makes you feel uncomfortable. So you push for other people to have no boundaries, so you can collapse their boundaries and absorb them into the hypercosm that is yourself. The mold, I don't know. Again, for reasons I will not explain explicitly, they like filth, they like the smell of filth. And they just live out of one bedroom of the house. So they only go into another part of the house if they actually have to. So they become nose blind to the smells. So that when they go into that part of the house, it's like an activator. It's like a scent enhancer. They can smell things properly again.
temptation. My editor, for example, is in possession of an immense BBL, but I resist the temptation to keep my business afloat. Once Poppy's done talking, Xena shows her true colors and essentially starts berating one of the editors for having gone to just Poppy instead of both of them to talk about their rates, something she claimed was erasing her, prompting her to say, if anyone's behavior is not up to standards, then they will not be on this team. Now that sounds like the Xena we know. Melina, who happened to be friends with the editor who was getting berated, decided to get on voice call with them, only for Xena to start getting aggressive and yelling non-stop. Sound familiar? Once Melina expressed concern that this may cause more issues in the future, Xena brought up the PMDD. From this point onward, perhaps noticing that Melina wasn't as malleable as other people, Xena became distrustful and even paranoid, in fear that information was being gathered on
boundary not being pushed through, uncomfy vibes, attempt to remove them from the social circle. Da-da!
Poppy and Xena for an eventual expose thread. Turns out Xena was right, almost as if she was self-aware that she was an abuser, fated to eventually be exposed. Just a day later, Xena began doing the same routine she did to Spawn, deliberately not clarifying the tone of text messages and rejecting any attempt from Melina to get on voice chat to minimize miscommunication. It's not too worth it to get into the details surrounding it, but Xena and Melina went back and forth for a long time, with Xena repeatedly implying that while the PMDD excused her attitude, no conditions or triggers could excuse Melina's. This entire thing is so cancer. The conflict between them drove a wedge between Melina and Poppy as well, though the relationship was already fated to fail because Poppy was revealed to be a lot less comfortable with polyamory than they pretended to be. Soon after, Melina
that's crazy. I wonder why that would be. Is there something that happened that led to them not being comfortable with polyamory? Some particular inherent design that doesn't work for them as it doesn't work for most people? What could that have been? I wonder what it was. Will we ever find out? I don't know if they do. But it'd be crazy if we were to learn. I wonder if we'll ever learn. I guess we won't. But hey, chat, we can always speculate. We can always speculate.
mentioned that they were going to see another partner, Poppy began producing issues out of thin air about how this should have been talked about earlier, though it was clear that the real problem was that Melina was giving someone else attention. This is a pattern we're going to see with Poppy actually—
Oh, we did find out. I don't think my questions are reproductive. I miss you too. If I had known this coming, I would have organized things differently. But between Sage being here, the whole situation, and Hella, I haven't really connected with you. I hope that would resolve itself. But yeah, I'm not sure what would ask would be helpful. I have issues with the situation. Your behavior around this person confuses me. You become erratic, in my opinion, in a way that I do not experience when you and Athena isn't involved. Telling me to reach out as much as I want is frustrating because it feels like it ignores what I wrote. I don't know where those lines are, and when a person isn't available and when I want them to be, it fucks with me. You're just a good read of people. You're just so intelligent. How do you know these things about them? He said while cleaning his utility knife. That sounds more menacing than it does. I'm bored because now I know exactly what's about to happen. Poppy is a jealous lover. They don't like when somebody else is punishing somebody else's rod or chewing somebody else's taco. And so they're getting mad.
Being polygamous instead of polyamorous, meaning they want multiple partners. But the rule is that they have to all be solely loyal to Poppy. Not only is this noticeable with Melina, but—
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. I don't want you to have anybody else, but I want all of you to me, myself alone. I want access to all of you like you're my group of concubines. Each of you will polish the scepter.
But Poppy publicly expressed discomfort at the sight of another partner of theirs, Sage, interacting in a sexual manner with another user. Though we'll get to Sage later. This is textbook stuff here. First, they—
The title is extended now. Now it's suck at being therapist and ERP slut. And they're dressing their character like the Scarlet Witch. 5 guesses what happens next.
a sexual manner with another user, though we'll get to Sage later. This is textbook stuff here. First, they love bomb, then, when any kind of issue comes up, they demand unquestioning submission, and if it's not given, they start cutting the person off and making snarky subtweets to psychologically terrorize them. After incessantly messaging Poppy and Xena over the course of weeks to try and patch things up between them, and after Poppy continued leading them on and feeding them false hope, Xena finally dropped the hammer, saying, "You still don't take us seriously, do you? You can't make decisions for me with PMDD. I don't need you in that way, and I don't want you in on my PMDD. I don't think you have the skills to deal with me or Poppy during any kind of mental triggers." Yeah, I don't think anyone has those skills, to be honest. What Xena calls skills to deal with them during mental triggers actually just means putting up with her bullshit. It adds to the overall absurdity that this was said in response to Melina trying to better understand how these conditions affected them. So, you can't ignore the conditions, but you also can't try to understand how they work to prevent them from causing unnecessary conflicts. You can only believe in what Poppy and Xena say because they'd never lie to you. That, or they don't want to establish how these conditions affect them because then they can't blame random acts of abuse on the conditions anymore. To top it all off, Xena actually tries to frame Melina doing research into PMDD as if it were a violation of consent, and I have absolutely no idea how that works. My guess—
if I go to the library and I try to research something that I need to learn about how to be a better parent, is that a violation of my wife's consent? If I try to learn how to better play a video game so that a person who likes to rag on me frequently for being bad at that video game no longer can rag on me because I now know not only the fundamentals, but I've learned advanced or more skilled tactics and stratagems, is that a violation of their knowledge of being an experienced player? Obviously, no, it isn't. So what is it? It is the clear uncomfortability of a person who is an actual control freak now being upset that they no longer have the ability, there it is, that they no longer have the ability to hide behind a person's inability to understand a situation because they are now fully abreast and aware of the topic in question and how that situation truly understands. Knowing how to do my job, so that somebody else cannot tell me he's so incompetent, he doesn't know how to do anything, and instead I'm the most skilled person technically at my job now, is a person trying to do what I talk about often, but doesn't often come up because in most people's cases, it's not just this, it's something else as well. But in this case, it is this. arguing for obsolescence. Poppy and Xena want to control other people so that they have the ability to control and keep them in fear of losing their job and their love. It's not just, hey, you can't say that and do that. That's a violation of my trust. It's, fuck, I can't let them find out that I've been bullshitting my entire time. If they do, they'll be able to come back and fight back against me. And then I'll lose power. And then I'll lose intrigue. And then I'll lose control. I can't lose control.
Says that Melina looking into how PMDD works made Xena feel like a scammer getting audited. Someone's about to uncover their racket. After they broke up and Melina left the server, Xena proceeded to post on the server informing everyone about what happened. But of course, framing Melina as a toxic person in a variety of ways, none of which reflected what actually went down. A while after their relationship was over and done with, Poppy and Xena continued to rub it in by bringing it up on stream and further besmirching Melina to their audience, only to brush it off when confronted about it, pretending they were actually talking about someone else. Around the same period, Poppy, in a decision influenced by reading lesbian fanfiction, decided to get bottom surgery and create a GoFundMe to finance it.
So, yes, they did indeed do all of these things concerning the hyena personality to cope with being pre-op. And that leads to the violent tendencies, which leads to the controlling tendencies, which leads to the uncomfortability, not having access to people's boundaries and priorities and privacy, to then being controlling of even the narrative of situations that happen because they're a bad lover and they're a bad understander of their lover's needs. Or multiple lovers' needs. And these are the people who call you incels! Real shit, guys. Real shit.
Reading lesbian fanfiction, decided to get bottom surgery and create a GoFundMe to finance it. Once that was successful, it was followed by yet another fundraiser, this time for a facial feminization procedure. As small as they were, P&Z had a pretty faithful audience, and Melina's thread didn't do that much damage to them.
So, yes, you did indeed have money to feed your child. You did indeed have money to feed your child. And the worst part is that not only did you have money to feed your child, you chose to, well, in this case, it's money being donated to you. But you had money to feed your child, you had money to help crowd raise to feed your child, and you're not even concerned about what happened to your kid. You're out here trying to live your fucking Gregorian conquests, trying to fuck as many people as you can while making money and content with them on Twitch. Do you even care where your daughter is? No. Do you care that you're being castigated for being a bad parent? No. What's the most important thing to you? I gotta turn my princess wand into a man cave. I gotta turn my princess wand into a man cave. And then I need to make sure that the carpets don't necessarily match the drapes, but they do match the molding on the bottom of the door. Nigga. You can't make it up. You cannot make it up, chat. You cannot make it up. This is far beyond just a failing of understanding networking skills and talking to other people. This is too much, bro. Like, how did you not lose your fucking channel? But then again, Twitch is a leftist hub, even as I broadcast to it right now. If you don't build an enclave for yourself out of people who are ardent supporters, you are effectively at the mercy of people like this. And it's so fucking disgusting because they have allowed themselves the justification to destroy themselves, their family, their partners, other people, and everything else that it comes with. And there's no self-reflection. None. If there's reflection, it is only to figure out how can I better abuse people.
their perception in the community. However, much more people also came forward following Melina. The first person who really got the ball rolling on Poppy and Xena's demise was Noah Flake, about whom a Google Doc was made containing an exhaustive...
Another transgender, but fortunately in this case, they actually do pass. Goth Miss Frizzle. Okay.
Amount of their online interactions, showing Poppy doing the same thing they did to Melina, guilt-tripping them about their other partners. Poppy claimed that just seeing one of their own partners online actually gave them a panic attack, and that's just the tip of the iceberg of insane jealousy. The self-obsessed BP actually gave them a panic attack, and that's just the tip of the iceberg.
It was too good to last. Oh, lovely. In fact, la enfant. You do not get to use my language. No, absolutely not. Diabolic system, not safe for work. No underliners, and clients do not interact. Too good to last. My nice and calm, relaxed for my edible plus talking to your partner who is away is faded. Now it's just this background hum of anxiety, intrusive thoughts about people I love. In other people's bed isn't fun, but I'm getting through this. So maybe you shouldn't be polyamorous. It's true. It's not polyamory. It is polyamory.
Of insane jealousy. The self-obsessed BPD maniac posting was compounded by the fact that, as mentioned earlier, Poppy claims to be plural, and actually has multiple Twitter accounts that interact with one another, publicly talking about the people they're in relationships with and tagging them to make sure they see it. By far, Poppy's obsession,
which is some obsessive bullshit,
with Noah Flake was the worst one, counting the hours until they got to meet. I'll also make a brief caveat.
That is... Oh no! Noah Flake is also a furry!
Out here that Poppy referred to Noah Flake as mom, which I just found really weird. The doc has a lot of Discord exchanges between them, which I won't read because neither of us deserve that much torture, but Poppy repeatedly flips from an age-regressed, needy personality to a hyper-aggressive, jealous, and demanding one. To shorten a ridiculously complicated story involving two plural people and their constant switching alters, it seems Noah Flake got sick of the pressure to give Poppy attention all the time and always explicitly reschedule whenever they weren't going to do that. So they broke things off, or at least they tried to. It's never that easy with Poppy. The breakup crushed Poppy, who was in peak obsession with Noah Flake, and Xena decided to step in, attempting to gaslight Noah about it. In one exchange, when Noah communicates that Poppy is demanding 100% of their time and energy, Xena simply claims that it hasn't happened, and proceeds to blame Noah for Poppy's meltdown, using the good old BPD excuse. I'm not even sure what Xena was trying to do here. Argue Noah into unbreaking up with Poppy? How could anything good ever come of that? And to add to the general derangedness of the situation, Xena tries to guilt trip Noah about them agreeing to be the parent to a kid. The kid not being Spawn, but instead being one of Poppy's alters. I can't make this up. Unfortunately, Noah fell for the guilt trip and re-added Poppy, and the following message was written by a 41-year-old grown-up, person.
Dad Mom D. Dad Mom D. Dad Mom D.
Runs over for hugs.
I love you, and you can't go. You scared me, but I accept your apology.
Squeezes you tightly. Admittedly, there's a lot of context and conversation surrounding this, but this weepy guilt tripping, Poppy sends a random selfie, apparently to elicit some kind of emotion from Noah Flake, ultimately failing, prompting even more weepy guilt tripping, which, mind you, went on for 15 hours straight at one point. All of this was done to convince Noah Flake to meet with Poppy in real life at a hotel. And I'll add that not only were they begging for Noah to come, but they also paid for the flight to get there and the hotel stay, almost $1,000 worth of costs in total. When
you didn't spend on your kid.
They finally did meet, they had a sexual encounter, initiated by Poppy. But
of course.
Noah immediately regretted it and finally broke up. Poppy didn't like that, not one bit. On the 23rd of December, this tweet was posted.
I'm not gonna let you lie. Poppy deserves better than this. Tell the truth of what you did. You broke a mentally ill woman for fun. After your headmate was mostly abusive to me, you abandoned a child because it was convenient for you. After you sexually took advantage of Poppy to see if you still loved her. We loved you, took care of you, got you space when you needed it, a camera, showed you how awful Amy is as a person, spent nearly $1,000 to see you, and what did we get? Emotional harm, a lot of tears, and possibly a UTI! Why do you people exist on the internet? Why can't you just live in Minnesota or Ohio? Why is this free? Free entertainment, but it's not entertaining. Why? Why, I beg you, why? And the worst part, chat, is that if it wasn't being broadcasted, we wouldn't know if it was real or not. That's the worst part. They literally said, you hurt me, you gave me the clap, and all I tried to do was make you feel loved. But if I say anything at all, I will be punished. If I address a single thing that I think is responsible for this, I'm the bad guy. Never mind, I'm seeing a story that honestly would be better set to fucking film. With better actors and actresses. No. Anything I say is gonna be transphobic, chat. You gotta understand. You gotta understand. Like, we need a parent test. We need a C10 license test. We need an internet test. We need a furry test. We need a lot of tests. A lot of tests. A lot. Like, this is not real, bro. Come on. Come on.
With Poppy saying, "You broke a mentally ill woman for fun after your headmate was emotionally abusive to me, and you abandoned a child because it was convenient after you sexually took advantage of Poppy to see if you still loved her. Pepper can't be found in Headspace, and it is your fault." And what did we get? Emotional harm, a lot of tears, and possibly a UTI. Well, I have no idea about the UTI. Again, it was Poppy's decision to pay for all of these things, and it was Poppy and Xena pressuring Noah Flake to show up and behave as if they were still together. Poppy even went as far as to claim that Noah owed them money for the flight as if it was their idea. Soon after came more accusations of Noah Flake being abusive, even sexually abusive, and an assault
and
by
you're still tagging them in the content.
deception kind of way. They suggested Noah was an absent parent, again in reference to her child Alter, and seethed a lot about them having partners besides Poppy, an obvious violation of the whole polyamory thing, but at this point, who's really counting? There's also walls upon walls of text messages Poppy sent Noah over Discord, which I will bless myself with not having to read because they're just stalker tier drivel, not worthy of attention. This is your brain on 10,000 years of roleplay, folks. People just become fanfiction characters characters in real life and purposely fill their lives with demented drama. This is a technically middle-aged person actually reposting cringe, sad illustrations and tagging their ex. Once the news that Poppy accused Noah of SA because they didn't continue dating after having sex hit the community, it finally got a lot of people's attention because of how obviously reprehensible, confusing, and what is even going on? Unlike Noah, Poppy and Xena had a small community to whom they spread their narrative, effectively committing defamation since they were accusing an innocent person of sexual abuse.
Ah, I remember this. I looked at this because Liana Kersner was involved in this because of this happening and heard about this through these connections because Liana Kersner is indeed left-wing, but she is much more now centered towards the scholar position of being left-wing. I really need to talk to her sometime these days. However, this would be the first where I saw it, where I told myself, yeah, I don't want to be near that. However, oh my God,
Spread their narrative, effectively committing defamation since they were accusing an innocent person of sexual abuse, as some people began rallying to Noah's defense, showing that Poppy was pressured.
A mutual of mine is being accused of sexual assault by her ex and is being painted as an abuser who pushes boundaries constantly and raped by deception. Now, obviously, I take accusations of assault seriously, and I also went to my moon, and it turns out she's the victim. I wanted to just walk away and never speak about this publicly, but I already made the choice to get involved, and with new receipts, I can't shake off the guilt. I'm already engaged. I can't have private regrets on public behavior. As Poppy would say, I made big boy decisions. Gayest fish and Faron ministered. No, Faron is tired.
And badgering Noah to give in to their demands. Other people who had experiences with P and Z decided to come forward as well. One of these people was a former associate of theirs, Dormiu, who recounted their visit to the P and Z household. Poppy maintained a habit of staying up until around 5 or 6 in the morning in the office, the room I was sleeping in. The issue was compounded by the fact that I needed to be out of the room by 11 a.m. so Poppy could attend appointments for clients. I was consistently running on about 5 hours of sleep for the whole week, and as a result, I was overly emotional and had trouble keeping stable.
When was this visit? Was this during Spawn being in the home, or is this after Spawn had already escaped the household?
But the lack of sleep was nothing compared to the real reason I'm writing this thread. To make it clear, I was 18 at the time and I'm only 19 now, and Poppy and I's dynamic was entirely platonic and non-sexual. In the first few days...
I don't believe that, because Poppy is clearly a 69 god! She's freaky ass chick, I can tell you that much.
An incident occurred wherein Poppy had been getting changed and I had been in the living room. Poppy emerged wearing a shirt, underwear, and no pants. I looked away, as I would naturally. Poppy noticed this, and her response was what upset me. Poppy chided me for averting my eyes and invoked my weird asexual bullshit. I am ace, but this had nothing to do with it. Later in the week, I was painting, sitting at Xena's desk in the office, and Poppy had just gotten out of the shower. She came into the office all but naked and sat down opposite me. When I looked up to greet her, I only then noticed that she was topless in front of me, and I immediately looked away, shocked. Poppy then, in an almost confused tone, said, "What? They're my tits." I did not consent to see Poppy in any degree of undress, and she knowingly flashed me while I was a guest in her home. Xena overheard from the kitchen and asked what had happened. When the hilarious anecdote about Poppy exposing herself to me was relayed to Xena, they laughed it off.
Imagine, chat. Imagine if you can... Imagine if you can, chat. Imagine. Imagine I come over to you, butt ass naked, flaccid at half mast. I plop my fine black ass in this chair and just sit here like this to you. And you glance at it. And your reply, and my reply, goes to, "Oh my God, Carl, I didn't know you were naked." What's wrong? It's just a couple, it's just some blanket beans. Hey, yo, bro, you better hear it. This motherfucker's scared of my pork and beans. Oh, they're just being so ridiculous. What's such ace bullshit? Oh, Alistair, you're such an ace in the hole. Actually, I can't even do it. I can't even do it without the headset on, because I have to back up too far. I say, and with a headphone warning, chat. Jail! Jail! Go to jail! 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 We're almost done, chat. We're almost done.
Just a few days after this drama began to get traction in the community, Sage, another one of Poppy's partners, began defending them and accusing Noah of SA, as well as painting everyone who'd backed Noah up as a...
Sage Alexis. She, her, Faye Fair. 28 streamer, Polypan, BPD, ADHD. Minors do not interact. Plural system of 3. Dating Xena and Poppy. Furries.
Began defending them and accusing Noah of SA, as well as painting everyone who'd backed Noah up as a bandwagon. Now, there is some lore that I don't think is particularly worth getting into regarding Sage, but I do think it's relevant that screenshots eventually came out that showed Sage aiding Poppy in acclimating minors to explicit stuff on their Discord server. Basically, Poppy was deliberately posting not safe for work furry art, and I use that word loosely, in the safe for work sections of their server, and Sage was defending them doing this. Make of this what you will, but believe me,
it gets worse.
Someone under the name Brit's Galaxy Brain on Tumblr made a post saying, Poppy indirectly reached out to me in 2022 to offer her platform to help spread awareness of the individual this blog was made to keep an eye on. Poppy looked at all the evidence I had at the time, it has since grown and gotten much worse, and acknowledged the obvious danger involved. This person...
yes, of course, it's Lily Orchard.
Lily Orchard has a load of documented evidence dating back to 2008 and a ton of personal testimonies proving she is a PDF file, a zoo file, and a serial abuser. Poppy acknowledged this. Instead of sticking to her word, she defended Lily against the PDF file allegations in public. Despite seeing the chat logs of Lily admitting to being attracted to children on top of the multiple graphic CP fanfictions she has written, Poppy picked multiple arguments with me because I refused to stop calling Lily what she is. I got sick of it and left. Last year, Poppy got in contact with Lily's sibling, whom Lily abused between the ages of 6 and 14, and wrote into damn near every work of fiction she's ever created. Poppy attempted to get involved with Lily's siblings, as well as myself, even going as far as to send incestuous, furry, not safe for work stuff to Courtney.
Freaky ass no genders, hey 69 God. Freaky ass no gender, there's 69 God. Hey, 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 run for your life. Hey, 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 run for your life.
Let me reiterate, Poppy sent incest porn to a survivor of incest. These are very serious accusations and an entirely different can of worms, but it's definitely relevant to Poppy's case. Not only has Courtney, the person mentioned in that text as supposedly being the victim of Lily Orchard, personally backed these accusations up, but Poppy has publicly supported incest as well. Additionally, an old F list of Poppy's, Poppy has publicly...
Hot take, I don't give a fuck about incest kinks. We live in an age where you can just abort the little... I need my wife. I need my wife. Oh, fuck me. I can't do it through the fucking text messages anymore. I just got to a point of the live stream where I am physically incapable of continuing to read this without getting upset. I will talk to you in like an hour, if you're not already at the grandparents. I mean, once I finish the live stream, you can just come and get me after I've cleared anything other. Okay. Okay. Okay, so they're already leaving the house then. Okay. Yes. Okay. We're almost done with this video. There's less than 5 minutes left. It won't take me long to get her food prepared, and then I'll be there. I know. I love you too. Hot take, I don't give a fuck about incest kinks. We live in an age where you can just abort the little fuckers or wear a condom. As long as there's no power dynamics and no coercion, enjoy your kink. Judge me all you want, but it's only weird if you're uncomfortable and stupid. And now everybody understands why I had to take at least a 3-minute sabbatical so I could call my wife. Abusive parent. Can't figure themselves out, refuses to learn and figure out their child and how to be a better parent to them, cares more about the money that they took so they could disappear and take care of themselves than finding out where their child is, treats everybody else probably at proxy because they are a child, has the audacity to say this bullshit. Hans, get the flaming water. The heavy flaming water! There's not enough words to explicitly say it, and I'm not going to say it in a rage, humorously, with near autistic trimming. This is an evil, vile person who quite literally believes that they don't have to have responsibility among themselves with other people and how they interact with other people. They treat other people like children while abusing their own child, and then having the audacity to believe that they can say this as though it's anything even close. What the fuck does incest kinks have to do with any of the shit that you just said about living in an age where you can abort children or wear a condom? Do you understand? Do we get it? Can you get it? The audacity to say this shit, seriously or unseriously. I don't get that. That's fucking weird. That's a level beyond just fucking weird. That's fucking insane. Oh, I don't care if you accidentally fuck your sister and get her pregnant. You just abort that little fucker. I don't care if my kinks are weird. You're just uncomfortable and stupid. How could you think this? How could you feel this? I'm upset. Before, I was comically mad. Now I'm physically fucking furious.
Supported incest as well. Additionally, an old F list of Poppy's, which was unfortunately archived, contained.
Why do you have a sexual intercourse list with all the people that you've been with? Actually, no, worse. This is actually your tag list of the shit that you're into.
Interests with incest in a specified age range that went as low as 14. Remember that whole thing of Poppy calling Noah mom? Yeah. Last but not least, Poppy was also exposed for having shared Spawn's medical records on Discord without their consent, and leaked the full name of a client of theirs to their entire Discord chat, violating patient confidentiality, both of which are actual crimes. Mind you, at this time,
Oh, cool. So you're just not, so not only are you verbally abusive, not only are you emotionally abusive, not only are you mentally abusive, not only psychologically abusive, you also can't even consider the constant clause. Well, you wouldn't have to begin with anyways, but you can't even do the functional participatory part of your fucking job. Do not violate HIPAA violations.
Z were trying to frame all of their accusers as part of a cyber harassment campaign.
A cyber harassment campaign to defame you because you've never done anything wrong.
Guilty of doxing Poppy simply by using the name they practiced under. One of the most concerning allegations that came out in this wave was from a tweet that read, Poppy also helped to hide Lorelei Bailey, another predator and a federal informant of trans femmes, when it was revealed she was in charge of major survivor resource communities and was trying to build influence in political spheres. In the replies, the poster attached screenshots of Poppy interacting with the supposed alt accounts of this person, said to be a rapist and FBI informant. And at one point,
That's crazy.
Poppy's partner. There are so many different cans of worms to open when talking about every misdeed of Poppy and Xena that it's impossible to tackle them all at once, and I bet more will come out after this video. But with all of these people attacking them, it begs the question, who was still on their side? Well, my best friend and love interest.
Of course it was Tipster.
Tipster, for one. Tippy was caught lacking when he was called out for liking some of Poppy's horny tweets despite being married, and somehow this turned into Poppy being the victim, culminating in a mass flagging campaign on Boblax's tweet. Another Poppy defender is my greatest fan, Keffels, who collaborated with Poppy and Xena
Of course.
to make anti-Kiwi Farms content, but
Of course.
that relationship also seems to have cooled off as time
Of course.
passed, and Poppy kept dragging Keffels into unrelated drama. At the end of the day, Poppy and Xena were alone to deal with the consequences of their actions, and the community
Good. Fuck them.
they'd spent years catering to turned their backs on them.
Good. Fuck them.
At some point, Noah Flake called Poppy's in real life place of employment and left a complaint, and I don't know
Good. Fuck her.
if this was the direct cause of what I'm about to say, but Poppy was given an ultimatum. Either they would have to stop streaming permanently, or Poppy was going to lose their job.
Good. Fuck them.
Job was what kept the lights on and the kitchen counter moldy. These two lived in New York and were paying for flights and hotel
Good. Fuck you. You deserve to fucking suffer.
rooms for their multiple sexcapades, so I'm assuming the job paid well. However, Poppy refused to stop streaming, sealing their fate for good. Of course,
Good.
this was painted as a violation of their civil liberties, and
Violation of your civil liberties, huh? What about a violation of their personal bodily autonomy as you tried to guilt trip them into a relationship with you and then you forced yourself upon them in a fucking city hotel room bedroom?
transphobia. But at this point,
The transphobia of having hold you accountable for your fucking bad behavior and actions. Fuck you.
Poppy and Xena's words were falling on deaf ears. They continued to have an online presence, yelling into the void about how Noah Flake was evil.
Normally evil. How could they do? Maybe they made me lose my job. Never mind the fact my actions made me lose my ability to connect and talk to my child. Blah 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 blah.
Surprisingly, no legal ramifications ever came of those allegations, since if Poppy told the story to a judge, they'd either get laughed out of court or the judge would die like a Victorian child getting yellow fever. Just having to learn about all of this is too much for an old man to handle. Poppy can still technically practice as a counselor since their license appears to continue to be valid, but I doubt anyone will want to employ someone like that. Most recently, Noah Flake was interviewed by a YouTube channel called Bagman Burns, retelling the story from their point of view. You'd think that after all of this, Poppy and Xena would have some degree of self-reflection about their behavior, but no, not even a little bit. The only way they'd ever consider the possibility they're a bad person is if it's to self-flagellate for empathy or to immediately follow it up by blaming everyone else.
True.
So much for the wholesome degenerates, but I tried. I've been Turkey Tom. Thanks for watching, and until next time, leave me alone.
You sure the job wasn't the therapist and not the rapist? I don't know. But I can tell you, that shit physically annoyed me at the end. Well, I need to prepare dinner so that I can go cry in the sweet, supple bosom of my wife. That's gonna be enough for us tonight, Jack. Boy, today was a doozy, wasn't it? That's crazy. You know what else is crazy? We're gonna end up doing it all over again tomorrow. More than likely, maybe, probably. I did say that I marked down that the thing would be for Thursday, but I changed my mind based on something that I believe that my wife and I need to go do for her medical appointments. So we'll see what happens with that particular topic. We should actually be able to maybe cover it on Friday, because we did have to, and we will have to rather, do a skip for the podcast this week because the other two hosts are going to be indisposed. So more than likely it'll be a versus shot on Friday concerning and covering the things involving Illuminati, Blair Vaughn, as I finish up that thumbnail, but it's kind of shit to get down to around this live stream. And if you are somebody who would like to be able to bullshit content and help Carl not lose his motherfucking mind from these degenerates, you can consider becoming a person who donates money to help keep the stream going along. You can be able to support through donations to twitch.tv, Ko-fi.com, subscribestar.com, and youtube.com/SinglePlayerCarl. Then become a member of the UNCF, because inside of the United Negro Career Foundation, a Carl is a terrible thing to waste. I've been Carl, and I'm going to go cry into my bathroom. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Goodbye, everybody. I feel